Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. The Enhanced Games movement proposes competition among athletes free from drug testing, bans or limits. Set to take place in December 2024, the Enhanced Games will see athletes compete in track and field, swimming, weightlifting, gymnastics and combat sports. Earlier today, Donald and I spoke with former Olympic swimmer from the Cayman Islands, Brett Fraser, who now represents the Enhanced Games.
Imagine an alternative to the Olympic Games. However, as part of that alternative, athletes would be allowed to utilize performance enhancers. There will be no drug testing, no bans, and no limits. Well, that's partly the vision behind the Enhanced Games, which are set to take place in December of 2024. Brett Fraser is a former Cayman Islands Olympic swimmer, and he now joins us in his capacity as Chief Athletics Officer of the Enhanced Games. Welcome, Brett. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
So I was first made aware of the Enhanced Games via a promo that I actually saw on Twitter, where an athlete claimed that he had broken Usain Bolt's record. I just want to know, was that part of the promotional material where it's a true story of someone who would have run faster than 9.58 seconds?
So it wasn't actually a true story. The video was made for illustrative purposes only to demonstrate what we're trying to build here at the Enhanced Games, allowing and empowering athletes to use the best of science in order to improve their training and thus compete at a higher standard and level.
Isn't that a little bit unfair to Usain Bolt, though, in utilizing his name and saying that was possible if that was further from the truth?
I don't think it's unfair. I mean, it was a comparison. What we're trying to do is basically highlight what's possible in the future and then build and use tools in order to get there.
I was listening to an interview that was done by Dr. Aaron D'Souza, of course. He's the one leading the charge for the Enhanced Games. And he said an Enhanced Games at one side and a natural, slow and boring Olympics on the other side. I mean, you would have competed at the Olympic Games 3 times. Do you agree with what he said there?
I think Aaron has a very, very great vision, and in 10 years from now, what we're trying to build is a games where, yes, there's going to be a vast difference in the performances that are seen at the Enhanced Games and the performances that will be seen at the Olympics. I think we're going to see a lot more fast, quicker, high-octane performances at the Enhanced Games.
All right, Brett, I'm not sure of the demographics that you have started working with, but in my smaller circle here, this story hasn't really grabbed many people. People aren't taking it seriously, and you're a year and a half now from your debut event. How much work do you think you'd have to do to get buy-in from the general public on these Enhanced Games?
So the buy-in has already happened. I mean, because the Caribbean hasn't heard of the story doesn't mean that the rest of the world hasn't. So we've been in touch with and interviewed by the biggest news outlets that exist. We built a following on Twitter from 0 to almost 10,000 followers in about 3 weeks. We've received 400 emails from athletes who want to compete. These are athletes that have competed and won medals at the Olympics. So I think the support is there. It's just a matter of time. It's a matter of education that we're going to have to continue to push and educate the public on about what it is that we're building.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that the Caribbean doesn't know about this story, though, Brett, because we have known about this story for quite some time. I'm just saying it isn't catching on. The average Caribbean person I speak to isn't enthralled about this development.
Oh, I understand that, but I think with time, once more education and more press is released, there will be more for the Caribbean and people who either don't support it or are on the fence about it to understand and hopefully grasp.
Yeah. One of your officials, I saw him in an interview a couple of weeks ago, and he understandably would not call names as to athletes who have already put their hands up with an interest in competing at the Enhanced Games. For obvious reasons, of course, the Paris Olympics will come up a few months before the Enhanced Games next year as well. So I guess athletes who are interested in competing, who may still be elite athletes in general competition, may not want to have their names attached at this early stage. But at what point do you think that might change?
So what I think is going to happen, and at the Enhanced Games, natural athletes are encouraged to compete just as much as enhanced athletes. Where I see athletes coming in is athletes who are at the end of their careers or athletes who have failed to miss or failed to make a an Olympic team or a World Championship team. This is another option for athletes to have in order to compete at a very high and hopefully at the same level as the Olympics. That is the prestige which we are building up to at the Enhanced Games.
Well, Brett, you are an elite swimmer yourself. You're only 33 years old now. You're totally an official in these games. You aren't thinking of competing, are you?
Not at this time. I mean, competing, and any former athlete always has in the back of their mind the exhilaration that you get from competition. You always want to be able to do it. However, with age, your body gets to a place where it's just not possible. So what we're doing at the Enhanced Games is allowing athletes to consult with doctors and use clinical supervision to employ regimes using scientific therapies and medical therapies in order to increase longevity, power, and strength during training and competition.
Brett, why did you buy into these games?
I think the evolution of sports is inevitable, and the time is now. The biggest issue we're trying to solve is the corruption that exists undoubtedly at the IOC's level and the misaligned interests to athletes.
Go a bit deeper into that for me, because I realize that even on your website you've said that the Olympic Games are corrupt. Can you go a bit deeper into that? Because obviously a lot more evidence would be needed and stuff like that. But why paint the Olympic Games as such?
Well, it's not an opinion, it's a matter of fact. Just on the day that we launched, I believe the Paris 2024 headquarters were raided by the French police. So obviously something was going on there. The corruption that we're highlighting is the misalignment of financial incentives that go towards the athletes. The athletes don't get paid 1 cent. The Olympic Committee, the International Olympic Committee doesn't pay athletes any money to win a gold medal. However, athletes are sacrificing their entire lives and careers in order to have a chance to be the best in the world. If you're the best in the world, we believe that you should be rewarded.
All right, I get that. But in terms of the natural ability of athletes and them competing, I'm talking from on that level. Are you saying that maybe there have been a lot more athletes who have doped that we are unaware of, who would have taken part in the Olympic Games?
That might be the case. I mean, it's no secret that doping is prevalent in elite sports. At every elite competition, I will not be surprised once there are athletes who get caught for doping at the Paris Olympics. I don't think there has been one Olympics or any world championship or any international event where no one has doped.
I'm here on your website right now, and I'm looking at a few world records that have been described as enhanced world records. And two of the records that I've seen here is the women's 100 and 200 meter record would have been done by Flo Jo. Is there any indication that you would have seen or heard that those records are enhanced, so to speak, that why you would have put them on your website?
The enhanced records are basically to show what science can do. The enhanced records basically were performed by athletes who got caught for taking something. So to illustrate where science can go and how far the human body and what the human body is capable of, that's why the enhanced records are highlighted on that page.
Flojo didn't fail a drug test, did she? No, you're saying the enhanced records that you have quoted there are...
They were challenged. They were challenged.
They were challenged?
Those records were challenged, yes. That's why they're on that page.
Okay. All right. Your period as an elite swimmer, representing the Cayman Islands at 3 Olympic Games, your older brother Sean also competed at the Olympic Games. Did you feel, having said what you just said about the IOC and what the Olympic represents, while you were a competitor, did you feel shortchanged, or did you feel that you were on a platform that wasn't fair?
I didn't necessarily feel that, but at the same time, I spent about 20 years of my life training and competing and trying to be the best that I could in the sport of swimming. And then after that, I had to plan for creating an actual career that would sustain me to live, financially after what I spent was the entirety of my lifetime competing. It's great to win a gold medal. I mean, it's lovely to have the prestige and the recognition that you get with being within the top ranks of the world. However, it is not a model where you can live by. It does a lot of detriment to your mental health. and then you have to start from scratch once you are finished competing.
You were a Pan Am Games gold medalist, Brett. You went to 3 Olympic Games. You are a University of Florida Hall of Famer. The Gators? The Florida Gators?
Florida is the Florida Gators, yes.
Florida Gators, yeah. The Hall of Fame induction committee, would they embrace this new venture that you're in?
So it's actually Sean who is inducted to the Hall of Fame.
Oh, your brother, yeah.
So, yes, it's Sean. So the Hall of Fame committee, I'm not sure. I think there's a lot of education that needs to be instilled with universities and the NCAA to see how this plays out. You have the NCAA considering allowing the use of substances like marijuana just as of recently. So, the world is beginning to understand and wake up a little bit and start to give light to what is actually happening and what athletes are actually doing.
Yeah, I admire the positive outlook that you're having, but you do recognize that not everyone is embracing this. Just today, the Drugs-Free Sport New Zealand issued a story saying the enhanced games are dangerous, unethical, and not in the best interest of athletes. And this is the first time I'm seeing something like this. How aggressively will you try to put your side, your positive side on the story to sort of dilute the negative side?
The style that I will apply to the launch of the games is a natural style. What I'm trying to do is basically not convince anyone that what we're doing is what they should be supporting. We're basically providing an alternative to the Olympic Games that supports athletes in a more robust manner. And you can consider it something like taxis to Ubers, Blockbuster to Netflix, and Olympics to enhanced games. It's an alternative, and we don't expect everyone to have, we don't expect 100% support. Like anything that's new, bold, and controversial, it takes a lot of time and understanding in order to gain a footing.
I know it's just for the grab, right? But I see the term no limits as far as your promotional campaign is concerned. Isn't that a little bit dangerous in terms of saying, okay, it's a free-for-all, you can do whatever you want? You don't see the term discipline there, or it just sounds a little bit chaotic. Are you concerned by the message that sends?
Well, with what we're supporting is clinical supervision for athletes to consult with doctors and scientists to understand what the best medical regimes is for their bodies. This isn't a free-for-all, no sane athlete nor scientist is just going to go and put whatever they think or whatever the internet tells them is the best or the most powerful drug in their body. I don't think anyone's going to do that. With professional athletes and with professional medical professionals, they're going to come together and decide what is best for that athlete. I don't think, and I think there's a major misconception that, you can go out and take 1 million steroids and break Usain Bolt's record. I don't see that happening. What I do see happening is a development of regimes that allow athletes to compete for longer and allow athletes to be stronger as well.
So you think that you know enough of what, drugs can do, that it won't harm the athlete?
I don't know, but medical professionals, we're relying on them to develop new therapies and use existing therapies and work with athletes to determine what is best for them to train in a more efficient manner and perform in a higher capacity.
All right, as far as rules and regulations are concerned, I'm assuming that you'll be utilizing the false start rule?
We're coming up with our own rules. What we're creating is a fair playing field. The Olympics is not a fair playing field right now due to the corruption with WADA and the anti-doping societies.
Brett, thank you so much for joining us on the SportsMax Zone. We appreciate the time that you've made for us. Let's see what the future holds as far as these enhanced games are concerned. I'm sure we'll speak again soon.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Brett Fraser there. I remember him competing quite successfully in the swimming pool for the Cayman Islands, himself and his older brother, Sean Fraser Donald. And he had a lot of interesting things to say today.
Yeah.
Not impressed?
I have so many thoughts.
Yeah.
Some of them I can't really see on here. But just the idea of these enhanced games, it kind of rubs me the wrong way. But I think I was actually more hurt with the fact that they have utilized Usain Bolt's name as part of the promotion.
Yes.
And I didn't like that at all. And even if you decide to run in your backyard and you time yourself at clock in 9.49 seconds, that doesn't mean that you've beaten Usain Bolt's record. So theoretically, how they have come across in that promotion was wrong. And that was the first time I actually knew about these enhanced games. And it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I mean, sure, people are free to do what they want to do, but I'm not a fan of it, because then you're going to be looking at technology and how technology will help as far as competition is concerned. And no, I appreciate natural athletes pushing themselves to the limits, because there's a danger now of that now being erased. You know what I'm saying? If this actually goes far. As far as their strategies, their plan, and their execution over the next few years.
Yeah. Well, Brett tried really hard today, Donald, to make it clear that he didn't think that the project will result in athletes abusing drugs to get results. He tried very hard to explain that they will have medical assistance in safely using substances to probably enhance their performances, but tried to suggest that he didn't think that it would be done in a way to harm these athletes, because a lot of detractors on this story talk about the danger of athletes using substances for performance enhancing that could, in the end, harm them.
You're right. There is a danger there.
Yeah.
But the thing is that we still don't know the effects. And I think we can't just put that under the carpet, right? Because obviously with enhanced drugs, you push your performances more, and you also push your limits as far as training is concerned. So yeah, you can look at it lightly saying, okay, you can push a performance, but what about the training? What about the hours that you invest in pushing your body to the limit so you can reach optimum? I'm not sure if a lot of research has been done on that aspect. Everybody thinks that, okay, you can get one injection on the day of the race and then adrenaline pumping and you dash. No, it's going to require a little bit more if you're even going to be in the conversation as a drug athlete to pass a Usain Bolt record. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let's move on, though. Coming up in the next segment, we're going to talk cricket.
Well, they actually need performance enhancers, probably.
West Indies beaten today inside 3 days.